This is the new Weight Watchers. It works for members like Jojo, who's learning simple, healthy habits, Sharia, who's making progress with meds, and Kim, who still gets to eat what she loves. For over 60 years, we've helped millions of members find what works for them. Now, it's your turn. Watch your life open up. Watch your story shift. Watch what you're capable of. Watch it work. Get started today at WeightWatchers.com.
This last weekend, a bunch of radio producers piled into a small silver Mazda and drove off to the hills outside Ness Ziona. The star of the ride was 3-year-old Eliana, the daughter of Yochai Meital, our senior producer. But the person who brought us on the trip was reporter Daniel Estrin. You'll be hearing from him in just a moment. We were off to do some field reporting, like actual field reporting, in search of Israel's national flower, the kalanit, or anemone.
I checked the site this morning, and there's a fresh report on anemones.
Which is exciting, because it's like actually a little early for them, isn't it?
Yeah, these are like the very first anemones that are blooming.
Every winter, tens of thousands of Israelis do exactly what we were doing. Go out to the country to see carpets of floppy red anemones at the peak of their bloom. It's still a bit early in the season, but if you're a diehard flower fan, you can go online for live updates on flower sightings around the country. The sites have breaking news-style tickers and scrolling updates. That's how Daniel heard about these ones. Anyway, we arrived, took a few steps, and immediately began spotting little red flowers. Eliana was very excited.
Wow, these are gorgeous. They're just... This one is beautiful.
It's quite a bit of kolaniot here, actually.
We weren't alone. One woman with a big, fancy camera was taking close-up shots of the red beauties. A few people, I kid you not, had set up lawn chairs in front of a couple of flowers. Sophie Shore, one of our producers, ran into a big group of kids walking with their parents. She asked whether they were picking the flowers.
We shouldn't pick flowers because they are forbidden.
Oh no, they all answered in chorus. Asur liktof. You're not allowed to pick. Hey, I'm Ishi Harman, and this is Israel Story. Our last episode, Frankly My Dear, was all about a crazy clandestine operation to repatriate the Persian fallow deer during the dwindling days of the Iranian Shah's regime. One of the main characters in that story was Major General Avraham Yoffe, the so-called Zionist Zorba, who, back in the 60s, while serving as the head of the IDF's Northern Command, was also appointed to be the first Director General of the Israel Nature and Parks Authority. As our producer Mitch Ginsburg mentioned in that episode, he took to the newly added role with a passion.
He asserted control over lawless lands, banned hunting, which he once used to thoroughly enjoy, and lobbied for a bylaw that somehow became the most adhered to provision in Israeli public life, namely the prohibition against picking wildflowers.
And that reminded me of one of the very first stories we ever produced here at Israel Story. A story about the most effective public service campaign in the country's history. The campaign against picking wildflowers. Here's Daniel Estrin with Flower Power.
Back in the old days, years ago, everyone in Israel picked wildflowers. Take one typical Israeli of that generation, 77-year-old Israela Hargil.
77 and a half. Born 1938.
You can't get much more Israeli than being called Israela. And when she was young, Israela was just like the next Israeli. She loved picking wildflowers. When she was 17, in 1955, she went on a field trip with kids from her kibbutz.
We were in the Galil, the northern part of Israel. And at dusk, we settled down, and I wandered around with a friend and saw from a distance a beautiful field full of flowers, light purple flowers, quite tall. They were irises. And we started picking them up, both of us. Huge bunches of these flowers, very happy, walking further and further. All of a sudden, one of us looked around and saw a sign, quite a big sign, saying, Hagvul lefanecha, the border is in front of you.
The Syrian border.
We were behind the sign.
You had actually crossed the border?
Yes, that's what happened.
That's Israela's daughter, Tali, sitting on the couch next to her mom.
You know how a kid gets to flowers. It is really enchanting. So we picked more and more, and there is a beautiful one, and there is a tall one, further and further, until we saw that sign.
You went into enemy territory to pick your flowers.
That's it.
Right, that's what happened.
Wildflowers meant a lot to Israela. As a little girl back in Poland, she used to go flower picking with her parents. Then World War II broke out. She survived the Holocaust hiding in a Polish family's home, where she would take cover under the bed whenever visitors came by. Going out to pick flowers was out of the question. It was just way too dangerous. But at night, the Polish family would let her go outside to breathe some fresh air. And there, behind a fence and a gate, just out of her reach, was a garden with flowers. She called it the Enchanted Garden. After the war ended, she moved to Israel, where she could pick as many flowers as she liked. And picking flowers in Israel felt symbolic, not just to her peers too, and also to Tali, her daughter.
You were in awe when you saw these colorful flowers. And it was an emblem or a symbol of the
recreation of
the state. Rebirth
of the country, of everything.
Of the state of Israel. I mean, a Jewish country, and it was kind of proof that things are going well, you know. Now I think it was a reflection of our state of mind, in a way.
I remember mainly one morning, very early, I walked up Tali. She was about 4, maybe 5. She didn't want to get up. It was too early. It was around 5 o'clock in the morning. But I said, Talinka, you must get up. We are going out. Well, she got up. We dressed. Why did I want her at that time to get up so early? Because I wanted her to see the sunrise. Well, we got up quickly and went out on a hill, and we sat there quietly watching the sunrise. And then we noticed that the whole hill was covered with wildflowers, white and bluish and, of course, greenery. Well, so we started, especially Tali, started picking up the flowers. She picked them up and brought to me, and I was sitting there and started weaving a crown. Now, I knew how to weave a crown from the early childhood in Poland. It means I took a long piece of grass, which was quite strong, and tied these flowers up until we managed to have a wheel which will fit her little head.
And every birthday I had a crown like that.
Every birthday.
Every single birthday, a crown of wildflowers.
This was not just their private ritual. In the country's early years, picking wildflowers was a national pastime. It was a way Israelis showed their love of the land. It reminded them of the flowers mentioned in the Bible. They would uproot the flowers to feel rooted to their homeland. Christian pilgrims were into wildflowers too. They would buy albums full of pressed petals as souvenirs from the Holy Land. Benny Fierst, who works at Israel's Ministry of Environmental Protection, has done a lot of research about this.
Nobody thought that there's a problem. Nobody thought that, hey, guys, if all of us will keep on picking flowers, there might be no left here, some flowers for the next generation. And there was no thinking about environmental protection or nature values protection. Nothing. Let's pick as much as we can. There were songs about it, and everybody said, the people, even the government, promoted the Israeli education system to do it more and more. There was a competition between primary schools all over Israel for 20 years, from the 1950s until the 1970s. Those who picked as much as they could, the most, many flowers as they could, they got a prize from the Ministry of Education. It's unbelievable.
But there was one man who did realize there was a problem. Uzi Paz. He's a wildflower expert, one of Israel's top wildflower experts. He lives in Ramat Gan, a suburb of Tel Aviv. When I showed up at his house, I walked through a beautiful garden in the front yard. But inside, there wasn't a single vase of flowers. I asked his wife, half jokingly, if he ever brings her flowers. Absolutely not, she answered, dead serious. Right after I arrived, Uzi whisked me into his office, where his desktop computer is jam-packed with flowers. Folders and subfolders and sub-subfolders, all full of photos of gorgeous fields of wildflowers, organized according to location. Wow. Back in the 60s, Uzi helped found Israel's Society for the Protection of Nature, Hachevra La'aganat HaTeva in Hebrew. And he likes to think of himself as the man who saved Israel's wildflowers from extinction. Well, he, together with a few other key people, he acknowledges. They realized that if people kept picking Israel's flowers at the rate they were picking them, they would simply disappear. So they launched a campaign. The campaign to save Israel's wildflowers. Step 1, convince the government to make it illegal. The way Uzi remembers that campaign sounds a lot like an episode of House of Cards, political wheeling and dealing to convince key lawmakers to support the legislation. He talks about sheepishly approaching Moshe Dayan, then Israel's Minister of Agriculture, who, Uzi says, looked at him with his single eye and told him he was nuts to think the parliament, the Knesset, would ever outlaw flower picking. But then, just as Uzi was leaving his office with his tail between his legs, Dayan said, okay, give it a try. It was all very time-sensitive. The Knesset was about to go on recess, and in those days, if you didn't pass legislation before the break, you had to start from scratch once the parliament adjourned. Plus, there was talk of new elections in the air. So Uzi was afraid it was now or never. He rushed to lobby the head of a key parliamentary committee who just happened to be an old friend of his. The man had a crappy car, so Uzi used to give him a lift to the Knesset.
בתור טרמפ לא היה לו אפשרות אחת. אמרתי, יאללה, אם זיקו בריף תצטרך להחליט, הוא כבר החליט.
He says that helped seal the deal. And in August 1963, wildflower picking was made illegal. But given its popularity, a law was not going to be enough. So Uzi brought in the country's leading advertising executives and asked them to come up with their best ideas for a public service campaign. One suggested putting the message on matchboxes. Meh, Uzi thought. Another suggested advertisements at the movie theater before the film started. He didn't like that much either. Then one day, on a trip to Haifa, Uzi noticed some posters the mayor had printed, telling people to protect the flowers of Haifa. That was it, he decided on the spot. Posters. He printed 30,000 colorful posters with sketches of protected wildflowers and a simple message: protect the wildflowers. The posters were distributed all across the country. They were pretty and large, and people hung them everywhere. in government buildings, in health clinics, in banks. A classic propaganda campaign.
Everywhere, in army bases, in post office branches, in schools, especially in schools, all over.
That's Benny Fierst again from the Ministry of Environmental Protection.
It was a hit. It was there was a black market even for those posters. People stole it from schools and from other places because it was very, very popular. It was very nice. Yes.
A black market? What did they want to do with them?
Because the quantity of those posters was very limited. Every school, let's say primary school or high school, got only 5 posters to put at school. But kids wanted more. So they stole it from the walls and brought it home.
Before long, everyone joined the party. The Israeli lottery printed lottery tickets with images of protected wildflowers. A gift manufacturer made a wildflower-themed card game. Newspapers ran a weekly column called Flower of the Week. Environmentalists even complained to Naomi Shemer, Israel's most famous songstress, about one of her tunes that was all about going out into the fields to pick flowers. So she changed the lyrics from 1,000 cyclamen flowers everyone gathered to 1,000 cyclamen flowers everyone counted. And if that wasn't enough, Shemer wrote another song called Waltz for the Protection of the Flora. Remember Israela and her daughter Tali from the beginning of the story? This song was sort of the soundtrack to Tali's childhood.
That I remember, on the radio a lot, and we used to sing the song, when we were in the scouts and going on trips, on the bus, we used to sing the song, and it said, explicitly, you can't pick that flower, you can't pick that flower. Na 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 na. I don't remember the words exactly. Da na 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 na. שאסור לקטוף. You're not allowed to pick. And everybody loved that song.
כלנית וחרקום, אלף גון בצבע, והחוק שאומר, כאן אסור לקטוף.
All these things just to show you how popular was these things. Suddenly the Israelis in the 1960s discovered their wildflowers. They understood that it's better for them to enjoy the flowers on the posters and keep them in the ground, not in their vase, not at home and not picking them.
It's astonishing just how successful this campaign was. In the decades since, there have been plenty of public service campaigns in Israel to get people to change their behavior. There are radio ads every single hour telling Israelis to drive safely. And still, they don't. There have been campaigns to get people to stop littering so much, to stop smoking so much. Israelis still litter, Israelis still smoke. But no one picks wildflowers. Why was this campaign so successful when so many other campaigns in Israel have not been as successful?
That's the best question, I think. Well, we need to understand. The wildflower campaign was very unique. It was the first one.
Up until the early 60s and the wildflower campaign, all the other campaigns were about the military. Join the Navy, join the Air Force. This was the first major public campaign asking Israelis to change their habits.
And for primary things, rishoni, something which is in the beginning, has its own power. And one more thing we need to say, it's the basic thing that the campaign asks from the Israelis was very simple. It says, you like the flowers? Great. Keep on liking them and love them. But just do it in a different way. It's amazing. It's an iconic campaign, we must say. It changed the Israeli behavior and the Israeli ethics of people to their land.
Oh, that's a small one, right? Yeah, it's just tiny. A baby kalanit.
Out on our field trip near Nest Ziona, 3-year-old Eliana already knows the drill.
שאני אקטוף אותה?
לא.
לא מרשים לקטוף?
נכון.
Should we pick it? Yochai asks her. Eliana replies, no, you're not allowed to pick. It's been more than half a century since Israel outlawed wildflower picking. Today, for Eliana, for everyone here really, you just don't do it.
Daniel Estrin. And that's our episode. Flower Power. You can catch up on all our past episodes on our site, israelstory.org, or by searching for Israel Story wherever you get your podcasts. You can and should also check out our home at timesofisrael.com/podcasts. And of course, follow us on social media under Israel Story. If you're interested in sponsoring episodes of Israel Story, email us at sponsor@israelstory.org. Our staff includes Yochai Meital, Zev Levi, Mitch Ginsberg, Hadas Kidron, Anat Elinav, Kathy Trifonov, Noam Ben-Zeev, Eden Abitbol, Noam Partom, Eli Fink, Elik Fumchenko, Alexandra Muller, and Rotem Tzin. I'm Ishi Harman, wishing us all a happy new year, and may 2026 be the start of something better. Okay, till next time, shalom shalom, and yalla bye.
בשמורות הטבע מערבדים נפרסים בשפלת החוף כלנית וקרקום אלף גון וצבע והחוק שאומר כאן אסור לקטוף רק עליי אין החוק משגיח רק עליי איש אינו שומר לא היו לי עלי גביע אז היה מצבי אחר ציפורים נדירות כבר דוגרות בסלע אילנות נדירים נשמרים לחום איילות נבהלות מסתכלות בשלט בו כתוב בפירוש שאסור לצוד רק עליי עוד עשו שלט מסביב אין לי כל גדר לו הייתי נאמר איילת אז היה מצבי אדוני ייזהר אל תיגע באיריס צבעוני ההרים ומחוץ לתחום כל גבעה נישאה בשולי העיר היא שטח בר מגודר וזו השום אז אני לפעמים חושבת כי היה
This is the new Weight Watchers. It works for members like Jojo, who's learning simple, healthy habits, Sharia, who's making progress with meds, and Kim, who still gets to eat what she loves. For over 60 years, we've helped millions of members find what works for them. Now, it's your turn. Watch your life open up. Watch your story shift. Watch what you're capable of. Watch it work. Get started today at WeightWatchers.com.